All right, it's a little bit afternoon. There's Eastern time. I'll keep my eye on the waiting room to see if some other people come in. We'll let them in, but we can go ahead and get things rolling. We had about 20 to 25 people register. So, but we know that not everybody always shows up, but that is perfectly fine. But we've got a good core group here. Maureen is having technical issues on her side of things. So we will let her shout out if she can, or use the chat function. We'll take care of that. We did have some questions, I think, submitted in advance, maybe a couple. So we can.
We honestly just had an announcement submitted.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see. So this will be a little bit free flowing. Might be a short one today, but that is perfectly fine. Because again, it is May and we all have things that are going on. But in the spirit of good news and celebration, we're going to let Jess kick off this meeting with her announcement.
I am able to announce that I have accepted the Director of Residence Life position at Center College in Danville, Kentucky. And effective June 1st, I will be working there. So as much as I was doom and gloom, well, not completely doom and gloom, but lesser good news a month ago, I'm very excited to be able to share that. And they are a small campus, so I will still be able to be within the group.
That is good, yes. Yeah, just had less than good news last time, but you know, here's to good hopes and good spirits, and that everything worked out for the best. And as you get to your new campus and you find out everything that you need to upgrade and improve, you know that you still got your network of small college professionals to help you out.
Thanks.
So with that, Beth, I'll let you go if you have any announcements you want to kick things off with, and then we can get to our whatever Q&A people have going on.
Only stuff is we are going to cancel the July Thursday meetup. I will be sending out an email in a couple weeks to everybody that attended the Small College Symposium. Thank you so much. It'll say that. But then it'll also say we're only going to do the June date and the August date. We're going to cancel the July date for the meetup. And it'll also talk about ACE. If you're able to join us at ACE, that is amazing. And we will have a reception like last year for small colleges and universities. And also there will be the SHO Small College University pre-symposium, pre-ACE. If you are interested in attending, it's $25 on top of the regular registration. So please feel free to, yay, Jess, that's awesome. So please feel free to attend all of that. I will be at ACE, and so will Luis, and of course, James. Last year was really funny. I had never met James in person until ACE. And then I was like, oh, that's what you really look like. And then I met Robin from Wisconsin at ACE, and he was a little bit shorter than I thought. He also thought I was shorter than I looked in the video, but we all met each other during like video world. So it was very entertaining to meet in person. But does anybody have any questions or anything going on, or anything anybody would like to know about?
I have a question I would love to pose to the group and hear what other schools are doing.
Anytime. What's up?
Great. We have a number of students on our campus who are experiencing housing insecurity, and they get a lot of support from our campus. Our vice president for student affairs strongly believes if we are going to recruit these students to our campus, then we need to make sure that we are supporting them through their 4 years on campus. And so we provide them year-long housing for students who also have financial difficulty. We provide them with year-long dining. We started with COVID, but since COVID have continued to get a number of requests from graduating seniors who are experiencing housing insecurity and are asking to continue to be housed post-graduation. We have been addressing some of those one-on-one. There were some unique things with international students and visas and what have you, and are trying to come up with it's some sort of institutional policy. And working with some of my colleagues in E&I, they were going to reach out to some of their folks on different campuses. And I wanted to check in with all of you to see if you had any policies in place or if you were experiencing these requests as well.
We had one that was graduating that was they were in the foster care, and then they foster cared out. I don't know the exact terms, so please bear with me. And so what we did is we had a local organization in town. It's called CAP, C-A-P. I don't know what it stands for, but we actually got them in touch with them to make sure that they were set up after graduation. So about spring break, they came to us concerned that, like, I've lived here for 4 years. I have no one. I have nowhere. What do I do? We got them in touch with CAP. They were able to get housing secured after graduation. They worked with them on doing that. They were able to also, they got a job from their internship their senior year that was local. So that was awesome. And then they also got set up with like food stamps, food pantry, because a lot of times with the housing insecurity, they also have food insecurity. And the students doing well. They've been graduating now for 2 years and they're doing amazingly well. But we have to be careful, like here at least, we have to be careful that if they're not registered for classes, then they're considered not covered by our stuff. And then we have to go from there. So that's why we worked with a student. We haven't had anybody after graduation that has come to us besides that student that was concerned about after graduation. Now, though, we do have 2 other students this year that are graduating that are in a very similar situation. And because of what happened before, we actually started working with them in January. So they're all set up and they're ready to go when they graduate. Like one moved into their apartment this past weekend. So now at least we're trying to be proactive with it, but we did have to rely on our outside resources. So maybe that would be a help.
That's great. Thank you. I don't know if it's helpful to add too, we're also a 4-year required residency campus. And so students are required to live on campus. And so now it's like forcing them to be here and then forcing them to transition.
Marie, what campus are you again? I'm sorry.
That's okay. Wesleyan University in Middletown, Connecticut.
Okay. You know, again, I've actually been working with somebody who's working on a talking stick story sort of around this area, perhaps not in the specifics of what you're discussing, but I do, and I know that it's been a subject of a lot of conversations about where campuses are making decisions very similar to what sounds like what's happening in your world. And again, it sort of then tends to fall to the housing department to step in. And I know like there's been talk about are there X number of rooms and whether it's like a raw number or a percentage, maybe that campuses are planning to sort of set aside for students that are experiencing housing insecurity. Again, it may not exactly the same thing, but again, also a lot of talk around food insecurity. I mean, I've heard more in the last year or two about campuses setting up food pantries than I've ever heard before. So yeah, hopefully we can find some samples and experiences to help guide your direction.
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, we have about 86 students who qualify as experiencing housing insecurity, and we really don't, we haven't defined it very clearly because we know it looks different for different students, whether they are, whether it's a financial component, whether they're international students, whether they have a home, but it's just not safe. And so, you know, we keep a intentionally pretty loose definition of housing insecurity. And then with food insecurity, we've also gone to a model now where we are providing access to food year round. So people who are here during winter break, we are keeping our dining open. Same for the summer. We keep dining open. If their family contribution is under $7,000, it's all covered by the institution. And even when our dining is closed, there'll be a week-long period between closing and commencement, and they're going to be getting a food stipend in that interim. So I do think we do a lot. I think we are very generous. And still trying to draw that line for the folks once they are graduated.
Can I piggyback off of that just a little bit? With not just students that graduate, but we've actually had a recent request for a student who actually wants to attend like another school in town, like a community college, but they don't have housing. It's like a cosmetology school, and they have a friend who's going to our institution, but really wants to live on campus because of some, they would like a stable environment, one that's safe. I mean, there's a lot of those kinds of things they're looking for, but currently we don't have non-students living with us. So, I wondered if anybody else had ever had folks that weren't actually your students, who are students, college student age, and or went to a different institution that didn't have housing. If anybody had a situation like that, where we like the idea of being that safe place for people, for them following the same rules. I mean, they still have terms and conditions and things that, if they don't pay, they can't live with us. But, just wondered if that was maybe something anybody had requested or had entertained the idea of or have currently in place.
The only place I've ever seen a school entertain the idea of a college in the same town not having housing is they do like a partnership with it. I don't know if it'd be different because it's a trade school to probably liberal arts school, but most of the time you have to have that set between the two colleges. I've seen that when there's been a community college, it doesn't have housing, working with like a local college for housing if they're bringing in students from other states and stuff like that. That's the only thing I've seen. So maybe check with some of those colleges to see if they have an agreement. Also maybe work with the trade school, because you said cosmetology, to see if they would want to set up some kind of agreement. Because at least then if they're enrolled in that would probably cover, I mean, you'd want to talk with legal and all that, but would that cover your liability aspect? But I don't know. Like, that's the only time I've ever seen it is if they're at a community college and they're staying at like the school nearby.
Yeah, we've had something in the past, but since I've been here sort of early, actually right before I started, that kind of dissolved for whatever reason. And so I think there's a lot of sort of historical knowledge I need to acquire, but I did already reach out to our general counsel and said, I mean, honestly, it's not any more liability than a regular student. If they sign a contract with housing, they have to abide by all the same things and, do all. So there's really not a whole lot of difference other than I would, like you said, Elizabeth, have something like in place where I could ensure that this is an actual college student, that they're actually enrolled. I think that would, because right now we wouldn't have anything to really kind of hold over their head other than like, it's either living here or eviction. Like, we don't want it to be like that. We have all these other mechanisms in place to kind of ensure that people are successful. And with that, we wouldn't really have anything in place, it's sort of like you either pay or you don't. And I feel like we can do better. So I think I'd like for something to be formalized before we do it, but this is something they want to start in the fall, and I don't know what can be accomplished over the next couple of months, but we've got a new president and a lot of new, initiatives and interests. So.
Allison, I have something we use for our summer terms where we allow students from other schools, as long as we know they're fully enrolled and they're connected with a researcher or a faculty member. So if you send me your email, I can send you that language. Maybe you can just steal some of it or use some of it. I don't know. We only use it during our summer terms because we have a little more flexibility then. So.
Patrick, are those like students that are there for an internship or something like that? Because again, that's another thing I've heard, again, particularly in the summer where campuses will house students from another campus that are in town for an internship.
it's not for, we don't do internships, but if they're connected with another, so like we could have faculty who are doing research here and they're in partnership with a faculty member, just making this up, at Florida, and they're doing the exact same thing, but they want to send those students here for the summer to do research with another portion of the study, and then vice versa. So there's like the connection with a faculty member, and that faculty member takes responsibility. I mean, I have 4 students that are coming from Pakistan that we have this connection with an organization in the college there, where these 4 students will come every year, and they're not enrolled students, but a faculty member sponsors them. They sign the same contract. They're kind of under the purview of that faculty member as a mentor for the summer term. And that is what kind of is their in to be on campus. So.
Hi, Allison. This is Linda, and I'm at Big Bend Community College in Washington State. And one of our other community colleges in the state does have an agreement. They do work with the 4 years. I think there's some nursing students that happen to do their whatchamacallit in town, and so they have them. But they also work with a local trade school that's a private trade school, and because they have an excess amount of housing, they have an agreement with them too. So I'm going to send you an email and link you up with that, and then you can do whatever.
Thank you for whatever information any of you can provide. That'd be so great. I put my email in the chat.
Did that help answer both Maureen and Allison's questions? Did you guys get like some ideas? Perfect. Any other questions out there that anybody has? Okay, then I don't want to take up your guys' time because it is closing week. Look, James has to talk, of course.
I'm going to throw one out just because this is something I'm working on, a talking stick story, and there might be somebody on this call that can help out. I am working on a story about student campuses and their student wellness programs, and I'm sure you all have some variation of that. And if you would like to share about yours, I'd be more than happy to talk to you offline. But more specifically, I'm looking at ways campuses are assessing their student wellness or student well-being programs. So I'll just throw that out there, and I'll put my email address in the chat as well, that if someone would like to talk about that a little bit more, they could just reach out to me, and I won't take up too much of your time, but maybe just, can email you some questions and learn a little bit more about what's going on in that regard. Always have a story in the hopper.
Does anybody want to answer? We don't have one at Morrisville. I don't know if anybody else does. Please email James and he'll nicely talk to you. Anything else from anybody? Okay, then today is National Eat Anything You Want Day. Please go eat anything you want today. And please on Saturday, make sure to enjoy your favorite cocktail, because Saturday is enjoy your favorite cocktail, and we're in commencement season, so I will be enjoying something after work on Saturday. And if you are really nice on Monday, it's Bring Someone Flowers Day. So there you go, national holidays, gotta love them. But please go eat anything you want today, because you know what? If you're on a diet, it doesn't matter. It's National Eat Anything You Want Day.
Do you have a calendar for these things?
My boss has one and it hangs on her administrative assistant's door, and I was reading it right before the meeting. I missed National Moscato Day, which was Tuesday. And National Turtle Day is the 23rd, and I have a turtle, so we're gonna celebrate Squirt's being a turtle.
And once again, for those who came in a little bit late, Jess, tell us your good news again.
Oh yes, Jess needs to share her good news again.
Yes, effective June 1st, I will be the Director of Residence Life at Center College in Danville, Kentucky. And so I am very excited to still be at a small institution and be able to continue to join this group. Thank you all for your support.
And as we said earlier, she's going to show up with a whole new batch of questions after June. She's going to have a whole nother world of things to build on and improve and get running like a well-oiled machine. So again, that's great news. Thank you all. Again, if you're able to join us in Portland at the annual conference, that's fantastic. I look forward to meeting you in person. And once again, we will hold our phone call in June. We'll take July off because it's July. And then we'll bounce back and we'll see everybody in August as well. So thank you.
But if you need to reach out to anybody between now and then, we do have the Small College University chat that you can put messages in there anytime through Kuai. If you have specifically for small college universities and you need, like you're doing something this summer or you're all of a sudden told, you need to implement something, put it in there. We got your back. We'll help you figure it all out. Just when you get to your new college, if you have 150 questions, just start putting them in there.
Yes.
Great. Have an amazing closing.
Take care, everybody.
Bye, guys.